I believe that Christianity is probably the most powerful encoded message the world's ever had. It's one of the oldest messages in the world, and I believe that the Christian teachings in the original scriptural understanding is the most important, volatile story the world's ever known. And it's sitting right in front of you, and most people don't even see it. It is an encoded story. And unfortunately, too many people who are ill-informed, unread, and who have not spent 42 years looking at theology accept what they read in the New Testament and in the Old Testament as actual history, when in point of fact, it is not actual history. There is a message behind the message. And consequently, if you're reading the Bible, and if you're looking at theological subjects from the Bible point of view, in a materialistic way, you're never going to see the obvious story sitting right in front of you. I believe that the story in the New Testament, and I'm concerned about this because I believe the world is now facing another dark age. I think that we are now preparing ourselves to go into a very dark time that's coming on the earth. And I believe that the message that's in the New Testament is a very powerful, symbolic, metaphysical story that is not very well understood today. Let me go back to the original Hebrew religion. Because it forms the basis for Christianity, we need to look at where did any of these things come from. I'm famous for doing that. I couldn't care less who I offend. I want to know the truth. And all you got to do is go to any good library and just start reading. There are hundreds of great reference books out there that tell you where things have come from. First of all of the things which are going on in this world today, from 9/11, all of the wars in the Middle East, all of the incredible bloodshed that's being spilled all over the earth, can be traced back to, and you might want to remember what I'm saying here, because I'm sure you're not going to make the connection when I first tell you, but I'm going to try to explain it to you. The things which are happening today, the people who are in power in this country, the great generals from around the world who are planning wars and violence and bloodshed, all of this stuff can be traced back to the planet Saturn. Saturn is a very, very pivotal, important concept in theology and religion. And most people have never been told any of this and have no knowledge of it at all. But the planet Saturn is very important in world affairs, in theology. In the Islamic belief, the holy city of Mecca, which is in Saudi Arabia, Mecca has a Masonic circle, and within the Masonic circle is a square, because you got to do everything on the square, remember. You have a town square, you have New York Square, you have Vatican Square, you have Red Square, you have all kinds of squares. Why? Because this is Masonic. And it goes all the way back into the ancient world, the terms and symbols. Again, the planet Saturn is called the Black Square. It's called the Dark Sun, the Black Sun. This is what the Nazis and the SS and the...
I always don't want to talk much on religion, because according to me, no one has ever understood religion. Everyone feels his religion on the beliefs are the correct ones, but a lot of theories have come out, a lot of speculations, a lot of stories that try to define religion, and sometimes it's seen as a tool for controlling a certain population, and more so the blacks. Because if you see what happened during slavery, Christianity was imposed on blacks, and the blacks were made to believe that Jesus or even God is white. if truly religion is something to go by, how would the white religion be used to replace the ancient African ways of worship? So this is what I want to bring in this video. So as you continue watching, hear what this speaker says about religion and how religion has been used by the Western world to control the spheres of other nations. So let us watch and make a commentary in the end.
Gestapo wore black. That's why priests wear black. That's why judges wear black robes. Why do you think a judge wears a black robe? He wears a black robe because when you used to graduate from university, you wear a black robe. Why black robes? Darth Vader wears a black robe. What the hell does a black robe have to do with anything? The judges wear black robes. You know, the Supreme Court judges wear black robes. Black robes represent the priesthood of the planet Saturn, the Saturnalian Brotherhood. All you need to do is study Nazism and
realizing that many of my subjects are rather controversial at best, and more often than not, I tend to offend some people when I don't really mean to. But I have dedicated my life to uncovering facts about life and the life that we live. Steve Allen once said that there are two kinds of facts, the kind you look up and the kind you make up. And too much of our world is comprised of educated people who are teaching facts which are made up. They have no basis in actual fact. And in the Jewish religion, there's a concept in Judaism that says if you tell a lie when under testimony, then your entire testimony is to be thrown out. Because if you lie one time, you're just a liar. And consequently, your testimony is of no value, period. That being the case, there is a maxim in Roman law. I want to read this to you. In Roman law, there is a maximum that says, let him who wishes to be deceived, be deceived. So that was an article of Roman law. If you're so stupid that you want to buy into something and be deceived, hey, go ahead. That's up to you. Let me give you an example of how we are being manipulated and exploited by people who would present their notions as true, in point of fact having no factual basis at all. Here in the Talmud, in the book of the Talmud, in Gittin, Gittin, which is the name of a book within the Talmud, Gittin 57b says this. Now this is the Holy Talmud of the Hebrews. I have been for the past 53 years fascinated with the world of the occult. The very word occult simply means hidden. It doesn't imply anything evil or bad. The word occult simply means hidden. And at a very early age, I began to discover that so much of what we really need to know about life has been hidden from us. And so, as I said, back in 1959, I became very interested in the world of the occult as it applies to, or the hidden world, as it applies to politics and religion. And within the past 25 years, I have begun to look at the occult or hidden world of commerce and how banks and government works. The one thing I will say that the past 50 years has given me is I would say that nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. Governments do not operate the way you think they do. Banks do not do what you think they do. The police department is not here for what you think it is. Nothing in your world works the way you think it does. There's a far higher, bigger picture going on the earth for at least 7,000 years of human history that we modern day people really just don't relate to. All we know is what we live with today, but never suspecting that the institutions of power, banking, education, the military-industrial complex of the world has taken hundreds of years to develop. And over these last hundreds of years, great governments have come into being. Our great country of America, the United States of America, which was the first time on the history of the earth that a people rose up to demand their freedom and impacted the whole world. Because there's never been a time, I don't care when you look back and how far back you go into history, never been a time when the people of any country have ever raised up to declare their freedom. It's never happened. And that's what made America so interesting and so provocative back in the 1800s, is that Americans decided they wanted to be free. So what a clever idea that was. No one had ever tried that before. And of course, when you are a slave, and you are considered to be a slave, when you declare yourself to be free, you're going to make some enemies. And you're going to terrorize your masters who thought they owned you. So now you're going to be a terrorist. And they are now able to kill you because you're a terrorist. Why? Because you have terrorized your masters who thought they owned you. And now they see that the slaves are deciding to revolt and don't want to be owned anymore, and they want to be free, and so there was a war. We call it the Revolutionary War, in which Americans decided they wanted to be free, and they wanted to be free at any cost. And so there was a great war that started in our country against our enslavers, which was Europe. Now, if you keep in mind that for at least 2,300 years, Rome has dominated Europe. First of all, obviously, under the Caesars of Rome. And when the Caesars' Rome fell in about the 5th century AD, a new power rose in Rome called the Vatican. Well, the Vatican simply took over the position of Caesar of Rome. And so today, the papacy or the Pope is still basically Caesar in Rome. And this is why all of the nations of Europe all come to bow down to the Pope in Rome, because he is, in point of fact, Caesar. His official title is Pontifex Maximus. And that was a term that was given to Caesar of Rome. So the point I'm making here is that for 3,200 years, Rome has dominated Europe. And for 3,200 years, Europe has dominated the world. Therefore, there is an old saying that all roads lead to Rome. So when you begin to see the wars and the tragedies and the things that are going on in the world today, the corrupt politics, the lies and the deception and the wars and incredible things which we're seeing, that people are becoming more and more concerned and worried about what's going on the world scene, and where are we going as a civilization, especially Europe now and America. Just keep in mind that what you are seeing today, happening on the earth today, with all the wars and economic problems, etc., all has a pedigree, and all has a background which you need to understand. It's called the history of our country, the history of Rome, the history of the Roman Empire. And so this is why I have always wanted to uncover, so to speak, the hidden history of Europe, the hidden history of America, and in point of fact, the hidden history of the world we live in. Because as I said before, so much of our religion, our government, our commercial systems, our educational systems, are all based on ancient concepts and belief systems. And unless and until you educate yourself as to how your world operates, you're never really going to experience freedom. Because as a man thinketh, so is he. And so one has to start thinking in terms of how would it be in your life if you were truly free? And what would the world be like if humans were actually free and no longer had slave owners, if the whole human race were free to do what they wish? We're not talking about anarchy. We're talking about legitimate government which protects the rights of all good people and allows individuals to be who they want to be and to do the best they can. And so this is what I have always wanted to do, is to help young people, especially young people, to understand where the world they live in has come from and how it got here. Because you cannot fix anything. You can't help any problem if you don't know how the problem started. If you don't, who was it? Albert Einstein said that you can't depend on the same people who caused the problem to fix it. So I believe that knowledge is power. And this is why so many people in America especially feel powerless, because they have no knowledge. It's written in the Old Testament of the Bible. Profound things have been said in the Bible. For instance, it is written in the Old Testament that my people are dying from a lack of knowledge. And that's certainly true. Today people are dying. They're wasting their lives away because they're ignorant, ill-informed, and unread as to how the world works. And there's another scripture that I think is extremely important that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Let me say that again. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Simply meaning that as long as civilization does not understand where we have come from, where we are now, and where is the whole human race going in the future, if you don't have that kind of spiritual vision, then we're going to perish. Because all of us are nothing more than sitting ducks in the pond. Unless you understand freedom and where it came from and how it was obtained, unless you start thinking in terms of protecting your rights and your freedoms, the ancient Roman law, and I find ancient Roman law very interesting. Roman law basically said, there was a maxim in Roman law that says, for he who would be deceived, let him.
So, religion is a very complicated topic to talk about, because it revolves around humanity. It revolves around doing good for the society. So sometimes when you look keenly, people brought about being staunch in Christianity didn't have the humane that is deserved, because these were slave masters who forcefully took blacks from where they were and were placed in harsh working conditions. So if you see these conversations, I always lack words to expound on issues to do with the religion, because even me, I struggle to understand religion. I struggle to fathom what God wanted for humans, or rather, if there is a superhuman being, what He wants for humans, because even the worst in the society are still doing well, and manages or rather hold leadership positions. So this is a conversation I want you to help me shape, because I don't know much, or I don't have much to speak regarding religion. So hit our comment section. Tell me what you feel about it. Do you feel that this conversation is a right one? Also, you can like and share this video. And most importantly, if you're watching us for the first time, I urge you to make a subscription to this our channel. Thank you, and may God bless you.